Ever feel like those big dreams are, like, miles away, Like you'll never reach them?
I know that feeling.
Well, today we're diving into a story that just might change your perspective.
Oh, yeah.
It's Sydney Sweeney.
Okay, interesting. But not just like the Hollywood starlet, right?
Exactly.
I'm intrigued.
We're going past all that glitz and glam to see how Sydney Sweeney, took control of her journey. Small town in Washington all the way to Hollywood.
Wow, that's quite the leap.
And get this, 14 years old. 14! She sits her parents down with a 5-year business plan.
Wait, seriously?
All about making her acting dream happen. I mean, come on, talk about thinking ahead.
That's wild. At 14, that tells you a lot about her.
Tons. Ambition, drive, all of it.
Right. So where are we getting all this info from?
We've got all sorts of stuff. Biographies, interviews, articles about her career, even some of her activism stuff.
That's pretty comprehensive.
By the end of this, you'll totally get Sydney Sweeney. More importantly, you'll pick up some tips about turning that ambition into action, even when things get tough.
That's the key, isn't it?
Totally. Because, come on, who doesn't hit roadblocks?
It's true enough.
Okay, so the Sweeney family, they went all in, packed up, moved to L.A., total leap of faith.
That's huge. Risking it all, huh?
Big time. Lots of our listeners can probably relate to that, going for it, even when it's scary.
I bet. So what happened when they got to L.A.?
Well, even with all that Hollywood pressure, Sydney manages to graduate high school, like, top of her class. Valedictorian.
No way. With everything else going on.
Yeah. Crazy, right? Shows you how she focuses, how she prioritizes.
Impressive time management skills, for sure.
Right. I think our learner types will appreciate this.
Oh, for sure. They love that dedication, that commitment.
Totally. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Sydney. She doesn't shy away from the tough stuff.
What do you mean?
Like the things people try to hide. Anxiety, stage fright, all that.
Huh. You don't hear celebrities talking about that much?
Right. But she's open about it. She even said, quote, "I still can't get my mind to shut up and I don't sleep," end quote.
Wow.
That's what makes her so relatable,
Definitely. Here she is, all this success, but she's still human.
Exactly. Still dealing with her own stuff. Reminds us that nobody's perfect, even those who seem like they've got it all figured out.
That's a good point. It makes it more real somehow.
For sure. And this honesty about mental health, super important.
Totally. It normalizes those conversations, helps people feel less alone.
Exactly. Okay, so this drive to excel, it leads us to Euphoria. Big moment in her career.
Euphoria. Okay. I've heard of it, but refresh my memory.
HBO series really pushed boundaries, teenage life, but like the raw, real stuff. Darker side.
Okay. I get it. Big hit, right?
Oh, huge. Catapulted Sydney to a whole new level. But here's the thing.
What's that?
She didn't just ride that wave of popularity. She used it to advocate for stuff she believes in.
Interesting. Like what?
Body positivity, for one. And challenging how women are shown in the media. All those stereotypes.
Yeah, for sure. That's huge. Those conversations are more relevant than ever.
Right. And then there's how she approached those nude scenes.
Oh, right. I remember that sparked some debate.
Yeah, it really made people think about consent and agency.
So she wasn't just playing a part. She was using her influence thoughtfully.
Exactly. Speaking of influence, 23 years old, she launches her own production company, 50/50 Films.
Wow, that's ambitious.
Right. But it wasn't just about her. She wanted to create space for other women in Hollywood.
That's awesome.
Totally. And it's concrete action, not just talk. 50/50 Films focuses on female authors, screenwriters, producers, giving them a chance to tell their stories.
I love that. It's that learner mindset again, right? Making an impact, not just personal gain.
Totally. And here's another thing that makes Sydney stand out. She's honest about the not-so-glamorous parts of Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Money, for one. The financial pressures.
Right, because it's not all red carpets and mansion.
Exactly. She's talked about that openly, and other stuff, too. Acne, body image, social anxiety.
She's really putting it all out there, huh?
Yeah. Reminds us that success doesn't mean a perfect life.
Definitely. It makes her story even more relatable.
Right. And this honesty, it all ties back to that theme of resilience, overcoming challenges. It's like a thread through her whole story.
I see that. So we've seen her ambition, taking on Hollywood norms, building her own empire. What stands out to you so far about Sydney's journey?
I think what gets me is, we see the success, the roles, the production company.
Right. All the outward stuff.
But the real story is the drive behind it all, the dedication, the strategy, and using her position to make a difference.
I agree. It's more than just climbing the ladder. It's about building something meaningful.
Totally. And doing it all while being true to herself.
That's so important.
Right. Open about her struggles, her flaws. Like, it's okay to not be perfect. It's about using what you've got to create change.
That's a message that goes way beyond Hollywood. For anyone with a dream, something bigger than themselves.
It's wild to think, right? Growing up in a small town, so far from Hollywood, it could have been easy to just, let go of those big dreams.
You know, it's almost like being away from it all made her even more ambitious. Like, she had to work harder to make it happen.
And that 5-year plan, that wasn't just some kid's daydream right now.
At all.
That was serious. At 13, to have that level of commitment, you don't see that every day.
And her family, they totally believed in her vision.
Right.
Imagine being her parents. Your teenage daughter comes to you with this detailed plan for stardom.
It's a lot to take in.
Must have taken a ton of trust to pick up and move to LA like that, to support that dream.
It really shows the power of having people who believe in you, right?
Absolutely. Support system is everything, whether it's cheering you on, giving advice, even helping financially.
Makes all the difference. And it seems like Sydney's family, they've been her rock. That constant encouragement, especially in a place like Hollywood, that's got to be invaluable.
Speaking of Hollywood, let's talk about her approach to acting. I mean, Euphoria was huge for her, but...
Right. But she's done so much more than that.
Exactly. She's built a really diverse filmography. All sorts of different roles.
And she doesn't shy away from those complex characters. The ones you might not always like or agree with.
That's interesting.
She's willing to explore, the darker side of human nature, push those boundaries.
She's not afraid to take risks, it sounds like.
Not at all. She's definitely making some bold choices.
And it's clear she's passionate about telling stories that matter, the kind that get people talking.
Definitely. She's using her platform to elevate the conversation, challenge those norms.
Which isn't always easy, especially in an industry that can be so focused on image.
It's true. But she's setting an example for other young actors. You don't have to fit into that traditional Hollywood mold.
It's about finding projects you believe in, right? That resonate with you.
Exactly. And you can tell when an actor is truly invested in a story. It comes through in their performance.
It's like they're not just acting, they're living it.
It's that passion, that purpose that makes it all click.
And that's a lesson that applies beyond Hollywood too, right? It's for anyone who wants to make a difference, to create something meaningful.
Okay, so we've talked about her drive, her talent, her activism. But what about Sydney Sweeney, the person?
Right, outside the spotlight.
What do we know about that?
It seems like even with all the fame, she's stayed pretty grounded.
Yeah.
She talks about her family a lot and her love for the outdoors, just wanting a normal life when she's not working.
Sounds like she's really trying to keep that balance, not letting Hollywood swallow her whole...
Smart move. It's easy to get caught up in all that.
Definitely. But she's prioritizing those things that really matter. Family, hobbies, her values.
It's about building a life that's sustainable.
All right.
Not just chasing the next big thing.
Yeah. And that's a lesson for all of us, isn't it? Success is great, but it's about enjoying the ride, too.
Absolutely. But let's be real. No success story is perfect.
Definitely not.
Sydney might be handling fame well, but, Hollywood's got its pitfalls.
It can be a really tough place, especially for young women.
Oh, yeah. Lots of pressure to fit in, to play by the rules, and sometimes those rules aren't fair.
But she's not letting that stop her from speaking her truth.
Right. She's been really open about the sexism, the double standards.
And she's not just complaining about it. She's using her voice to advocate for change.
Exactly. Like she's saying, enough is enough. We deserve better.
And she's not just talking about it. She's taking action, starting her own production company, giving opportunities to other women.
It's a powerful message, right? It's about empowering each other, creating a more equal playing field.
And it's not just about Hollywood. It's about women everywhere facing those same challenges.
It's about building a legacy that goes beyond personal achievement.
Now, along with those industry-wide issues, Sydney's also been really open about her own struggles. Personal stuff.
Right, things that so many people can relate to.
Things like body image, social anxiety, that pressure to be perfect all the time.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that even celebrities deal with that stuff.
But by talking about it, she's normalizing it. It's like she's saying, hey, it's okay to not be perfect.
That vulnerability is so important. It makes her human,
It breaks down that whole celebrity facade.
Exactly. And it encourages others to embrace their imperfections.
Right. It's like a movement towards self-acceptance, being your true self, even the messy parts.
It's a powerful message,
Yeah.
especially in a world that's so obsessed with perfection.
It really is. It's about being kind to yourself, asking for help when you need it.
And that's something we all need to hear sometimes.
So we've got her ambition, her talent, her activism, her vulnerability, her honesty.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. But what's the big takeaway here for our listeners? What can we learn from her journey? What can we apply to our own lives?
I think one of the biggest things is that power of having a plan. Remember that 5-year business plan she made when she was 14? That's incredible.
That's some serious dedication.
She had a vision,
Yeah.
and she went for it. And while we don't all need a formal business plan,
Right.
having some kind of plan, knowing what you want, and how to get there, that's key.
Setting those goals, breaking them down into steps,
Yeah.
and then actually doing the work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also being flexible. Things don't always go to plan, right? Sydney's career shows that. She had setbacks, moments of doubt, but she kept going.
It's about learning from those setbacks,
Yeah.
right? And adjusting your approach.
Exactly. Embracing the whole journey, even the messy parts.
Because those messy parts are often where the real growth happens.
So as we think about everything we've learned about Sydney,
Yeah.
whether it's her drive, her activism, her commitment to being herself,
It's inspiring.
it really is. But what I think it all comes down to is this. Follow your own path.
Don't be afraid to be different, to chase those big dreams.
And to use your voice to make a difference, even when it feels scary.
So from small-town Washington to Hollywood stardom, Sydney's story is proof that with hard work, dedication, and a little bit of planning.
Anything is possible.
But remember, it's not just about reaching the top.
It's about the impact you make along the way.
What's one thing you can do this week to take a step towards your goal, no matter how big or small?
Every journey starts somewhere, right?
We've talked about having a plan, being resilient, being your true self. But before we wrap up this Sydney Sweeney deep dive, I want to go back to something you mentioned, that 5-year plan at 14.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty amazing. I mean, we hear about goals all the time, but she really took it to another level.
Totally. She wasn't messing around. Makes you wonder what was actually in that plan, the details.
Right. What were her first steps to breaking into Hollywood?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have the actual document, but from interviews and stuff, it sounds like it was super detailed.
Like, how detailed are we talking?
Not just acting goals, but education, networking, even money stuff, like managing her finances.
No way. At 14. That's crazy. Talk about maturity, thinking ahead.
It really shows you something, right?
Yeah.
Success isn't just luck or talent. It's putting in the work, having a strategy.
So even if we're not all making 5-year plans, the lesson is be intentional, know what you want.
Exactly. Have a vision, a plan of action.
But also be ready to adapt, right? Because things change.
Life throws curveballs.
All the time. Sydney's career is proof. Rejections, setbacks, doubts. But she kept those goals in sight.
And she was willing to adjust. That's key.
It is. It's about learning from everything that happens, the good and the bad, and then using that to make your plan even better.
So, wrapping up our Sydney Sweeney journey, what do you think is the biggest takeaway for our listeners?
I think it's that, yeah, business plans are great. But really, it's about finding your own path.
Your own way of doing things.
Exactly. Embrace what makes you you, your strength, your vision.
Dream big, plan smart, and don't give up, even when things get tough.
From Washington to Hollywood, Sydney's story reminds us that anything's possible. But it's not just about the destination.
It's about the journey and making a difference along the way.
And being true to yourself through it all. So, as we sign off, think about this. What lights you up? What's that thing you're passionate about?
And what's one tiny step you can take this week to get closer to it? Remember, every journey starts somewhere.